Hi, everyone. This is Pamela Durkin, and you're listening to the Marketing by Design podcast, the show that helps interior designers market their business better. I know you don't want to be a professional marketer, but a designer who wants easy, effective marketing techniques that bring great projects your way. So let's dive in. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to the inaugural episode of Marketing by Design. The podcast is for designers to help them with simple techniques on how to market their interior design business. I am Pam Durkin. I am your host of the show, and I am really excited to finally get this podcast off the ground. And I'm titling this episode, Is This Thing On? And I guess I should be like, is this thing on? Does the design industry need yet another podcast? And to answer that question, of course, I think it does, or else I wouldn't have started one. Um, we need to be thinking about how the industry is changing so much. I mean, we are literally in a change in our industry. And so we need to be looking at how we can market better, how we can make it easier. And I have some ideas on how we're going to do that. Before we dive in, though, I'm just going to give you a little tiny background about me. I am a professional designer and have been one for over 30 years. And I live in the Naples, Florida area. Started my career in commercial design. And then when I began to go out on my own, did a blend of commercial and residential design. So I've been designing for many, many years. And what happened in about 10 or 12 years ago in my own business is I started thinking to myself, oh my gosh, this marketing thing has got to be easier. Like I had gotten a really good client and I was totally hooked on having an awesome client. Like it was amazing. They just totally appreciated where I was coming from and they valued what I was bringing to the table. And I thought, I need to start doing more of this. So how can I do that? And I knew that I needed help. So I started studying marketing. I started going to some events. And funny story is I was at a marketing event and they were talking about a new product called magnetic marketing. And before the guy even finished the speech, and this was an investment. This was the first big investment I made in my business in terms of changing how I thought about marketing and being a more active participant in my marketing. And the price was $2,500. My husband's sitting next to me. All of a sudden, I leap out of my chair and I run to the back of the room. And I was like, couldn't get my credit card out fast enough. And that was really the beginning of how, we can really put some time and effort into our marketing and how that can make a huge, huge difference if we just spend a little concentrated time on learning who our customer is and what we want out of our business. So ran to the back of the room, did this magnetic marketing, basically was a course and it was quite a while ago, but it changed how I thought about everything, about how I approach my business, how I market my business, how I think about what the client feels during the entire process. So it was a huge eye opener. From there, I actually went to, I started joining another group, which was a mastermind. And that was a group of 40 to 45 business owners from all across the country. We would come together in Atlanta 3 or 4 times a year, and we would talk business. We would learn some things. We would do hot seats. And I really, really enjoyed that time. I felt like you could learn so many interesting things from people outside our industry. So on this podcast, we're going to have people from inside the industry, but also outside the industry, because I think that we can glean some interesting techniques that maybe the car dealers using or the realtors using that are just not talked about normally in our industry. And we can really craft those and have them really work really, really well in the interior design industry. So you're going to see some guests from outside the design industry for sure. So when I joined that mastermind, I loved that everyone was from all different walks of life. There wasn't another creative in the room. So I really had the chance to get to know other types of businesses. It was small businesses all the way up to people who had over 100 employees. So it was a really wonderful experience. During those meetings, we used to do something called hot seats where someone would bring up a problem and then the group collectively would give their input on how they could most effectively solve that problem. And of course, that is one of the most favorite things I do in my work is I love, love, love to brainstorm. And so this was super fun for me. So I was always up at the microphone and finally someone came to me and said, "Hey, maybe you should start coaching, or did you ever think about coaching?" And of course I said, "No, I'm an interior designer. What would I know about coaching?" And that just, planted the seeds in terms of what I'm transitioning into now and why I'm starting this podcast is because I really want to help more designers in the coaching arena. I want to give them, what I've learned over the last 30 years being in my own business, but then also studying marketing. And I think it doesn't have to be so hard. I know that most of us are in a business that's small, less than 5 people. So we're doing multiple things. We're wearing multiple hats. We're changing gears all the time during the day. And so I think that we can really make it a little bit easier on ourselves in terms of marketing and getting better clients. And then also, to be honest with you, crafting your business to support you wherever you're at in your life cycle. Meaning, if you have young children, you may look at your business differently than if you don't have children, or if your children are grown and now out of the house. If it's a different way to approach. And why not have our businesses change and grow and support us as to wherever we are at in our own lives, right? I mean, we didn't just leave a job to have another job, right? I'm sure most of us have worked for somebody at some point and we left for a particular reason. And then when we started our own business, we sort of like traded one job for another. And I think that the whole beauty of entrepreneurship, yes, it has its challenges, but the good sides is that it has that flexibility and we should be treating it as such. We should be able to do some other things in our lives and have that work-life balance, which does seem to be elusive at times, but I want to remind people of that. So that's the background of why I decided to start the podcast and why I decided to get into coaching. And my philosophy about coaching is I think it's very, I think it's like when you hire a designer, and there has to be good rapport there. You have to feel like it's a good fit. You have to feel some connection with that person. And so that's always been my philosophy as a designer. I will certainly turn down projects that I don't think there's good rapport there. And same with coaching. I think that you have to really be feeling that connection with the person that you feel is going to help you take your business to the next level. So, what I love about marketing and what my approach to marketing is, you'll have to Google this, but I was always struck by this one gentleman called Scott Houston. He had a program called Piano in a Flash. And the interesting concept behind his program was that most people would love to learn how to play the piano. But when they wanted to learn to play the piano, they would go to a traditional teacher, and the teacher would start them with scales. And, it would be a long process before they ever got to play anything of huge interest. I mean, they would be trained like a classical pianist would be trained. You'd go through these various steps. And he realized that most people don't want that. Most people that learn piano want to just play their favorite songs, maybe sing with their friends, or, just enjoy themselves. They weren't looking to be at Carnegie Hall. Like, they just wanted to play, right? And so I feel the same way about marketing and designers. I feel like we don't want to be professional marketers. We don't need to be professional marketers. We just want some simple techniques that work, right? And that don't feel sleazy or salesy. And so that's sort of my philosophy about marketing. And I think that that can be done in our industry. And the other the other thought is, how many jobs do we really need? I mean, a lot of times we try to mimic what's happening in bigger companies because they need a huge influx of leads to their business to keep everything rolling. But being small businesses, we don't need as much. So we can have a more personal touch to how we generate leads and how we bring people into our business. So that's kind of how I feel about marketing and design, and hence the name of the podcast, Marketing by Design. So go look up Scott Houston, Piano of Flash. I think you'll like that. So I mentioned earlier that, I think the industry is at a crossroads between the internet, um, just accessibility that clients have to products and other things. Certainly competition. I live in an area where we have the highest concentration of interior designers per square mile. So definitely competition is fierce. And then the other thing that we kind of battle in our industry is our own feelings, those doubts, that imposter syndrome, the stress, people pleasing. I was seeing this going on in some of the Facebook groups about how we are constantly putting ourselves last in our effort to please our customers, in our effort to feel like we're providing that best customer service. And I think we can do both. I think we can feel really good about what we're doing. I think we can set boundaries. And I think we can also have super fulfilling and profitable businesses. And so I do think that we need to start thinking about our businesses differently. We need to start setting ourselves apart in how we market. And that's really stepping into our own personalities, right? And some of that does cause people anxiety when it's like, oh, getting in front of the camera or letting people see me or know me. Um, on camera is a little nerve wracking, or talking about personal things, your personal life, or even glimpses of that, people get super uncomfortable. I think that that is one of the cornerstones of what makes a small business interesting, what makes people want to do work with us. And personally, we have to separate ourselves just from, the products we sell, because that is it's going away at some point. I don't know when that's going to happen, but honestly, it's going to dwindle where, it's becoming less and less. So we have to figure out ways as an industry on what can we do? How can we package our services? How can we present our services in a way that they still have value and people need us for those? And, as you know, it's not an easy business. It is not an easy business. There's a million details and there's so many things that we take on. So just thinking about how we can do things differently is definitely going to help in the future. So, of course, I'm going to be talking about topics that are going to be a mix of things, right? I want to, of course, educate you and give you some real, tips and tricks and things that you can use in your own business. But I also want to inspire you. I think that, this business it can really beat us up, and it can spit us out if we let it. And I want to, give an opportunity for you to tap into why you love design, and also the type of people that you love to work with and the type of services that you love to do. Because honestly, I think that will help you have a better business in general and a more profitable business. And then, of course, I'm a little bit of a ham, so you may see a little entertaining going on there. You never know what I've got up my sleeve. But I think we're going to have some really interesting guests. We've already started to do some recordings. We're going to be talking about marketing to the affluent. We're going to be talking about why we should want to make money and why we shouldn't be afraid or ashamed to make money. So I have a guest coming on about that. And then a couple other interesting ones. I'm going to have someone come on that's going to talk about how laughter can really be an asset in your business, how that can attract people to you, how that can help you in your own business. And then another topic I'm looking at is, how do we feel beautiful in front of the camera, right? How do we show our confidence and feel our best, so that we can attract those best clients? So those are kind of some of the topics that are going to be coming your way. Um, and of course, we're always going to help you market your business. We're going to be talking about that. So, I want us to start thinking about how we can look at ourselves differently, how we can look at our business differently, and look at it through a new lens. Look at it with fresh eyes and go, okay, I've been doing it this way for X number of years. Should I be changing this? Is this really working? Does it work for me now? did it work for me at one point, but maybe now it doesn't work? Or do I know more? Or has my, you know, perfect future client actually changed or evolved? Is it different? So this is really, this podcast is going to have some ideas on how you can question some of that status quo, some of those things that you've been doing for years and years and years. And what we can do to stand out, how we can differentiate ourselves, how we can step into what makes us different, what makes us unique. So I want you to sit back and enjoy the Marketing by Design podcast. I hope you come here to get inspired and educated and energized about your business and ideas, get those ideas churning on how you can market yourself and your business better and more interestingly, more in alignment with who you really are. I'm going to try to keep those episodes short. The goal is to keep them 30 minutes or less so that you can really consume them and take action on them right away. Certainly, if there's some topics that you would love to hear, I would welcome those suggestions. Please, please go ahead and email me at pamela-durkin.com. I'll leave that information, of course, in the show notes if you missed that. But would love to hear some ideas that you have on how we can, address some topics that are really top of mind, things that you're really wondering in your design business. So please, please reach out. Looking to do an episode every 2 weeks in the beginning. And maybe if I start to feel ambitious, there may be more. But at that point, that's what we're looking for. So, of course, please subscribe to whatever platform you're using to get notified when the new episodes come out. And thank you so much for being here. It warms my heart to have you here. I would love to connect with you. Of course, you can find me on Instagram and all the other platforms. But thank you so much for being here on the inaugural issue of Marketing by Design. And I look forward to seeing you again soon. And thank you so much. See you next time. Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to the Marketing by Design podcast. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast on all the major platforms and catch our next episode in just a few weeks. If you enjoyed today's show, head over to www.pamela-durkin.com to gain access to our free resources. Thanks for tuning in, and in the meantime, always keep marketing by design.